It's not moving. Maybe it's not even alive.
My son had a drinking problem at college. I'm glad a friend suggested Al-Anon Family Groups. Is someone's drinking troubling you? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon Family Group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order regular scheduled Park District meeting for May 23rd, 2024. Can I have a roll call, please?
President Walls?
Yes?
Commissioner Biedke?
Here.
Commissioner Carlson?
Here.
Commissioner Cook?
Here.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Here.
Okay, approval of minutes. Minutes, May 9th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting and May 9th, 2024 regular scheduled meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one was opposed. Recognition of special guests. Joe from Lauderdale and Amen is going to read. What's that?
Lauterbach.
Oh, Lauterback. Sorry. Lauterback and Amen is going to review our audit, which we do every year. Is this your first year with us? No, you were here last year, right?
This is my first year presenting. I've been with the Park District for 3 years now.
Okay. Well, welcome. If you could step up to the mic and tell us which page you want to head to.
Well, good evening, everybody. As introduced, my name is Joe Loudon. I'm the Park District's audit manager here on Lauterbach and Amen's behalf tonight to present to you your audit for December 31st, 2023. I want to start this evening by thanking Brad and Kelly and the rest of the team for all their hard work. It's no easy task getting through an audit cycle, so we appreciate all their time, patience, and hard work. I'm here tonight to present to you 3 required pieces of communication by the state of Illinois. The first of those 3 is going to be the smallest packet that you have in front of you, is going to be your SAS 114 letter. The SAS 114 letter is in accordance with Accounting Standard 114, in which we are required to disclose any disagreements that occurred with management during the course of the audit process. I'm happy to summarize this document for you and state that we did not find any disagreements with management this year. I'm going to spend the majority of my time in the next piece of communication, which is going to be the annual comprehensive financial report. I'd like everybody to start on page 7. We'll be here briefly just to recognize the GFOA Certificate of Achievement Award for December 31st, 2022. Once again, goes to the testament to Brad and the rest of his team for all the hard work it takes to get this award, and congratulations. Next, if I could have everybody turn to page 10, that's going to start the Independent Auditor's Report. This part of the report has 3 different purposes. The first is to state what management's responsibility is during the course of the audit, which is to prepare the financial statements. The next is to discuss what the auditor's responsibility is, which is to generate an opinion on those financial statements. The last thing it does is to generate the opinion for December 31st, 2023, which is unmodified. This is the highest and cleanest form of opinion that we can provide. After that, page 14 will start your management's discussion and analysis. This is where I recommend spending the majority of your time, as it does a great job of highlighting some of the key activity that occurred during the course of the year. Also has some nice charts and graphs, makes it a little bit easier to read than the dense financial statements and the rest of the document. After the management's discussion and analysis, if everybody could turn to page 27. I'll do a brief overview, a brief highlight of some of the areas in the financial statements. Page 27 is going to be the government-wide statement of activities. You'll see at the third line from the bottom, there's an increase in overall net position of about 6.7 million, which is about 7%. After that will be the fund level income statement on page 33. And I'll just go through each of these individually real quick. The general fund was had an approximate increase of $656,000, which is about 14%. The recreation fund was about $790,000 increase, which is 16%. Golf course, $779,000 at 57% increase. Debt service, $56,000 at 40%. Capital projects, $555,000 at 11%. And then your cumulative non-major were $189,000 at 10%. After the financial statements, you'll find the notes to the financial statements. Note 1 is going to be your accounting policy summary. Note 2 is going to be all your budget information. Note 3 will contain capital assets and debt. And note 4 is going to be other information, which does include your IMRF and OPEB information. I'd like to stop at page 58 in note 4, just to draw your attention to the change in IMRF this year. You'll see in the furthest to the right column, all the way at the bottom, the Park District had a net pension asset of $685,000 at fiscal year end. The rest of the annual comprehensive financial report is going to contain budget to actual figures, some statistical information. I'm not going to spend much more time on that tonight, but if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. The last piece of communication I'm required to present tonight is going to be your management letter. I do want to preface that the management letter is just a listing of best practice recommendations as well as any upcoming GASB pronouncements. You'll see on the third page of the management letter is going to be new current recommendations. The first one being an outstanding check policy, followed by GASB 100, GASB 101, and then prior recommendations on the last 2 pages of funds over budget, which you'll see management's response to, and then GASB 96, which was looked into to be implemented this year, and you'll see did not have any material impact on the financial statements as we did not find any subitas. And that'll conclude my portion of the presentation tonight. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. My email is always open as well.
Anybody want to start?
The only thing I wanted to point out is you just mentioned that we had a $685,000 net pension liability. You know where that ranks, because on a tax bill, that means we're pretty close to 94 to 95% funded, while other entities are actually in the 30s to the 50s. So you think that it's a negative, and it's really a positive,
Right,
since
exactly.
we can't control last year, whatever.
All the fluctuations that occurred with it,
with the stock market, et cetera. So-
Yep, agreed.
So that was kind of where I was headed in a different direction though. So we are, let's call it 94% funded.
100%.
Yeah.
Currently we're 100?
We're 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so you obviously do more than just Elk Grove Park District.
Right.
Where does that fall in line with some of your other clients without saying names?
Right.
Is 100 like in the 1 percentile? I mean, just a guess.
It's pretty good. It's up there. Definitely one of our better clients, I would say. I will say from last year to this year, we definitely did see a lot of fluctuations. So a net pension asset change was definitely a huge change from a liability to an asset. But definitely you guys are up there in that top percentile.
And without, again, tipping any hands, I mean, what do you see as a low?
Pretty low, I would say.
A numbers guy can't give me a number. I like.
No, not off the top of my head.
I understand. Because we talk about this all the time. I'm for one for like, we should fund this as best we humanly can.
Yep.
And not worry about it. And there's other districts in the state even that just feel like, people like us got them covered.
Right.
It's hard. Obviously, there's a lot of variables that go into it.
a lot of smaller districts or smaller entities in IMRF that have a lot of those fluctuations can move their number
Can move their
very.
needle faster.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So being larger and having a larger liability, ours doesn't move it as much, so, but we're
'Cause
in a
we're
very
larger.
good spot.
Okay. And then my other question was, is we've received the certificate of achievement. How many get that of our competitors that you're aware of?
Of your competitors,
It's a competitor, it's not a business.
we pride ourselves at Lauterbach and Amon in helping our clients get to the certificate of achievement. So I'd say quite a few of our park districts, so your competitors do have it. But I couldn't give you, once again, a number,
Understood.
a percentage that we have.
Okay, that's all I have. Tom or Scott?
I just had one more. You know, in your management letter is with something that, you know, we should be reading more. We're not gonna go in deep. So you have a couple of recommendations for GASB 100 and GASB 101.
Correct.
The staff has their own recommendation, and you got their feedback, and then you implement a policy. Is that something that the board should be concerned about?
More so be working with management to implement those. If something does come up, I'm sure Brad would communicate whether or not that is of your guys' concern at the time. But I do know with the compensated absences, there's a new policy that started, so I think that'll play a little bit into your guys' decision. I'm assuming the new compensated absences policy. So, but no, I don't think it's too much.
Is this the third year of the 3-year contract with these guys?
Yes, so we'll be going out for RFP.
Love to have you guys back.
I don't see any other questions, so thanks, appreciate it.
Appreciate your guys'
Yeah.
time. Like I said, my email is always open if you guys have any questions that come up after the fact.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Recognition of special guest, customer service manager Elizabeth Nemowitz.
Thank you for having me tonight, everybody. So I'll just get right into it. Customer service, of course, has been very busy with various registrations and tasks, just as we always are. But naturally, right now in the summer season, the workload has increased. So I'll just go over some numbers to give you an idea. Our camp registrations, which are a huge part of the Park District, as of right now, we have a total of 2,830 camp registrations. To kind of break it down, 893 of those registrations were done in person at the counter, and then you had 1,973 done on WebTrack. So that just gives a little insight. We're also currently in full swing with our summer brochure registrations, which just opened up on May 6th for residents and May 9th for non-residents. As of today's date, we've had 407 registrations done in person and 524 WebTrack registrations. So you have a total of 931 summer brochure registrations done. In addition to all that, customer service is actively selling seasonal memberships and duck race tickets. So stop by the front counter to get more information on that. And I did just want to tie in one thing, just to make sure our viewers know. Registrations for programs and most of our memberships can be done at both of our locations. I just want everyone to know that, both at the Pavilion and at the Al Hattendorf Center. And lastly, I just want to give a big shout out to customer service. Let them know that they are doing a fantastic job. We really do have a strong sense of teamwork at the front counter, and you know, we're always there to help our customers at any time that they need. So thank you. Any questions?
I'm sorry.
Just a comment, I'm at the Pavilion a lot, so I talk to some of your part-timers. Obviously, I talk to the management team, I talk to the residents. They all brag about you, so it is great to have you there. So we consider you a major
Well,
asset.
thank you. It's a team effort, and it's a great one, I'll say that. So thank you.
Thank you and your team.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at public communication. Any comments from the audience? Alan, you're good today? You're good?
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to address the board. My name is Alan Kreitz. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to bring to you today, so I appreciate your action to permit me to speak. Thank you.
Not a problem, Alan. Anybody else? Somebody wants to start, right? Come on up.
Dear Board, my name is Ellie.
And my name is Lila. We are here to talk about the pickleball courts at Marshall.
We would like to see the Park District add pickleball courts to Marshall. It's more than just a sport to us. It's friends coming together to play, exercise, and have fun.
We ask you, the board, to consider putting these pickleball courts in. It is an investment in the community and brings people together. Let's create a space for all ages to be able to enjoy this wonderful game.
Again, we hope you consider this for the future of Elk Grove, as we are the future of Elk Grove. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Anybody else? How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Raj Patel. Hello?
They can hear you. It's through the TV.
Oh, it's through the TV. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here today, against that pickleball. It's at the Marshall Park. That's a 5 main reason for that. I'm a sport lover actually. I do love to play all kind of sports. It is my humble request to all of you members. Think before you act. I will tell you a few things. It's negative effect to put it that pickleball in this neighborhood. If you go in the deeply, you can think what it does create. It is a noisy game, first thing. It can be, put it anywhere. What happens is, once you play that game, this is the hitting game. It's hit every time with the forcing ball. So once the hit, that consistent sounds, it will, irritating everyone. It's not just that, increasing the traffic. If you think over the weekend, all those, I don't say specifically teenager or whoever's played that, it increasing the traffic, parking issues. That presents the pickleball court attract more players nowadays, But if you go a little bit deep, that's letting increasing traffic, consistent parking problems and all those things. It will definitely is going to be happen. The third main thing I will tell you to decrease the property values. If you live near the pickleball, it's in 1, 2, 3, 4 mile radius, it will definitely, reduce the price. There is a reason for that. It's disruption of the privacy also. If you are close by them, that Mr. Bill is the first. There are so many, residents around here. It will really, residents living nearby pickleball court may have experienced a loss of privacy as the players are in a spectacular game near their homes. The increased activity and the foot traffic can be, it's ridiculous, introduced on the personal space and the limit residents. So it is my humble request again to all board members, think before you act. And the last one, the safety is a big concern. Nowadays, if you put that pickleball, regardless, let's see, if we don't have enough parking. If you think about the safety, after 4 or 5, when everyone comes from the work, they want to relax with their family, elderly people over 50, 60, and 70 age people, they want to have the relax. Now, due to the having these kind of activities, you can put it anywhere. There are so many places around. If you go to the Martingale, there are way wide open space. You can build up the same court back there. Regardless, people can go and enjoy back there. I'm not against to that, but this is something, the quiet neighborhood, we don't prefer that. And thank you all. Think twice before you act. That is my best advice to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Victor Anderson, and I live at 735 Wellington Avenue, so right on the corner of Chelmsford and Wellington. My patio that I love to sit on and read and get some work done is a mere 25 feet from the end of that parking lot. So I'm here tonight to represent the side that is strongly against adding pickleball courts and lights to the Marshall Park's current construction. First, I would like to thank the committee for listening to us and all that you do for Elk Grove Village. I've lived here for 5 years now, and so far our experience has been wonderful. I'd also like to thank Elk Grove Parks and Planning, because I know you guys have done a lot of good work with Elk Grove, I truly believe that Elk Grove is an exceptional community for a lot that you guys do. However, with this latest project, I believe you guys are missing the mark. I totally understand what it is that you're trying to do to bring to the community. And I think in theory it's healthy and it's a promising project. I just think that this is the wrong area to do all this in, and I believe the process and how you guys have gone about it is kind of in poor taste to us that live right around it. The last meeting I was at, last meeting I was able to make, in regards to this issue, I expressed that my biggest fear is the lack of space and parking for all that you guys are trying to do in this park. You're taking a small neighborhood park and turning it into a full-on recreational facility. Like I said last time, I've seen that small parking lot completely overflow onto the street with just a few of, basic youth soccer games. And now you want to add a full splash pad, a new soccer field, a new basketball court, and you want to bring pickleball in. Not to mention the concession building that's already bigger enough. It's already bigger to allow for bigger gatherings. Chelmsford is already a higher traffic street than it should be, where plenty of outsiders speed through and with no care in the world, as my household has already had one parked car get totaled on that street just from people flying around that corner. The fact is, there's not even close to enough parking for everything that is going into this park. The location of the proposed pickleball court is way too close to our houses. The sound resistant netting that you guys are proposing to put up, I don't think there's a chance that it's gonna muff that sound enough. I can hear a goose on the opposite side of Lake Cosman. And when there was a basketball court, while there wasn't any netting on there, we could hear that clear as day right from our house with our windows down. Every single person outside of Elk Grove that I've told in regards to these plans always says, oh, that's gonna be loud and obnoxious. I've never had one person who's like, oh yeah, it shouldn't be that bad. And I've played pickleball, so I know exactly what that sounds like. A few more things. I understand the need to find activities to do in the park and to maximize your project space, but these current plans, I believe, are just overkill. Our neighborhood loved that open space that is already mostly gone. The thing I love the most about my neighborhood is the peace and quiet that it brings me, which I fear I will no longer have with this next door facility. The other gripe I have with this whole project is the way that intel has been gathered and how us residents that live around the park, which I think are the voices that matter the most, feel like we're kind of being blown off. For example, the last meeting I was at, you presented your online survey, which stated, and I might get the numbers a little bit wrong, but I know they're close. It stated that 56% of people said, yes, we want pickleball. However, there were only 38 people to answer that survey, and how many people answered that survey that actually live right on the border of that park? And I want to add that I had zero knowledge of this survey until it was presented at that meeting. My neighbor, Connie, who has done an impeccable job at organizing and sharing with us neighbors everything that's going on, was able to collect about 70 signatures that stated that we were not for pickleball or lights being added to Marshall Park. Now she and the rest of us are being told that signatures on a petition don't really matter or don't really have any influence, and that we just signed that sheet to get Connie away from our door. That's not the case. And if that is the case, and fair is fair, why should a 38-person survey count? And might I add, that survey barely paints a picture of what plans actually were, and besides a basic yes or no answer to a very generalized question. Most of us feel that this project has been done behind our backs, and we feel like y'all are trying to pull a fast one on us. We believe that pickleball and lights were always wanted, and that the park district knew that this was the full vision that was presented that if this was the full vision presented at day one, that it would not have gotten approved. So we feel like this whole thing was just kind of trying to be snuck in. Now, is that true? Are we, just making that up in our heads? Possibly. But since a lot of us feel that way, I believe that is a reflection on the process of deciding what will go into this park and the timeline of events in which you carried out and how you delivered this project to us. If you truly cared about our opinions, you would have figured out a way to reach all of us surrounding the park, whether it's going door to door or just dropping something in our mailbox. I can't express how much I don't want pickleball and lights added to this current plan. I go to bed before 9 p.m. every day and have to be up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. The last thing I want to do is try and fall asleep at this new athletic facility 25 feet from my house. And once again, I love my neighborhood because of the peace and quiet that I share with my fellow neighbors. I'm sure that the committee and Park District may feel that the majority of people do not feel like those of us who showed up here tonight, since you might only see a few of the people here consistently, but I promise you that's not the case. It's damn near impossible for me to get here for all your meetings. I usually, I run my own business, and I usually work until 8 o'clock at night. And with everything going on in life, it's just hard to keep up with when these meetings are. So just because some of us aren't here, that doesn't mean anything, and that's why I think that petition that Connie got signed is super important. So wrap it up, I ask you members of the Elk Grove Committee to listen to us and listen to us that are most affected by the project that's right outside the parking lot. Just please stick with the current plans. Find another area for Elk Grove's second pickleball facility and lighted soccer fields and basketball courts. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Victor. Anyone else? Come on up. Sure, come on up.
I don't have anything other than a question.
No, that's fine. We just need to have you get to the mic so the public can hear you.
I just wanted to ask, I read and was told that consideration of Marshall Park was taken off the table. Was it put back on, or, I mean, I did read that. People are under the impression like, okay, it's off the table for Marshall Park.
Yeah.
So what happened?
That was a wide, that was the Plan Commission. There's been 3 public entities that have had at least one meeting on this. We being the one, the Park District. Then there was the Plan Commission, which is a commission that kind of does the research for the board. They make a recommendation, they kick it up to the board, and then the Elk Grove Village Board is the 3rd one. So I'm unfamiliar with the term that you used. It wasn't us, but my guess was it would be the Plan Commission.
Well, bottom
Took it
line
off the
is,
table.
was it ever not under consideration after some of the meetings? The last meeting I went to, there were a lot more negatives than positives.
I guess all I could tell you is, if you believe it was the Plan Commission or Village Board, you'd have to go to them.
Well, I wouldn't know that. All I'm saying
Okay,
is-
well,
Oh, okay.
I'm explaining, it was never off the table on us. I shouldn't say that. We decided to go with the soccer fields, but we pulled back the pickleball courts to talk amongst ourselves and do what we're doing here.
Okay.
But as far as off the table, that would probably be the commission, the Plan Commission, if I'm
Because I did
understanding you
read it
correctly.
Online, and
Mhm.
it was like an official notification that it was no longer under consideration.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, at the meeting, there are, as he mentioned, the gentleman, there are a lot more people who do not want this than do want it. And also, it changes the whole dynamics of Elk Grove in that area. We're all within that proximity, most of the ones that are here. And everything changes, plus the parking and people all hours of the day parking in front of our place because they can't find parking and they'll probably have tournaments and things which will bring in,
We're not gonna have pickleball tournaments, promise you.
yeah, well,
Not gonna have, it's not gonna be rented out, and we're not gonna have pickleball tournaments.
yeah, but it changes the calm and peaceful area that we live in, and we're just not very happy with it, and I do think we should count.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Ma'am, what is your name?
Could you just give her name just for the record?
Maureen what?
Maureen, last name is May, M-A-Y, Blanco, it's a hyphenated last name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were told there would be a.
Just your name, please, just for the record.
Marge Ruffer. Marge Ruffer, R-U-F-F-E-R. Want my address? No. We were told there'd be a public hearing regarding this with the park. I would like to know what the date of that hearing is going to be.
I believe what she is referencing is when the mayor said they'd give 10-day notice before that would go front of the village.
Yes, see, this,
So once we make a recommendation either for, if we make it against tonight, well, then there's no reason for it to get village. If we go ahead and vote to bring it to the village will make a 10-day announcement before they actually have their vote.
And
That's the way I interpret what you're saying.
I believe Mayor Johnson said typically they go out 200 feet. He was gonna take that to 300 feet, don't quote me on that, so more people actually get
Farther than that, a couple blocks.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it was like 3 blocks. Anyway, more people are gonna get a notice in their mailbox on this one when the village board, if we even get that point, more people will get that same notice. So if you're within 3 blocks, you should get that notice.
Oh, yeah, I'm within 3 blocks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Joseph Neapolitan. I live at 222 Shelley Road. My neighbors have spoken very eloquently about this issue. I've lived in Elk Grove for 43 years, at this residence for 30. I'm retired a number of years now, so I walk the neighborhood with my dog at various times. It's always been a quiet area with this previous school in place. Obviously, you know, that wasn't used in the last couple of years before it was torn down. I just want to support my neighbors who have already spoken pretty eloquently. I was happy to see that the Park District was going to revitalize the park. Mostly, I felt it was a children's park, and it was going to be revitalized as such with a few more amenities. I'm not going to be playing pickleball. I have a foot injury, so I have no opposition to people playing pickleball or basketball or soccer, but I think with the addition of the pickleball court and a full-size now soccer field, the addition of the lights, it's going to make the neighborhood a lot noisier than it has been, and I'm just opposed to those two additions being included with the park. My concern also, now, when I moved here, my daughter was 1.5 years old. She's now 43. She's not participating, she doesn't live in the city anymore. But, I thought this was a great little park for children. And with the addition of full-size soccer field, pickleball court, which, notwithstanding the young women who are playing pickleball in their teens, it's not usually, I don't think, a children's sport. So a lot more adults would be frequenting this park, and later at night. And I have some concern about that. If my daughter was of a young age, I'm not sure that I would want her in that park later at night. And with the addition of the higher lights, it's going to make, the ambient light for the rest of the neighborhood much brighter. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me step one more time.
Sure
I
thing.
agree with him, as he says.
You'd have to come up here. Sorry.
As he says, those lights it's gonna be late night, that game, as he mentioned, is for the adults. And do you think the adults will bring peace in this community? No, I don't think so, This brings nothing but alcoholism, drugs, prostitution. If it's late, that's what El Grove Village wants. Is it my humble request? Think about that on the safety. That is a big concern. We do not have any, oppose or anything against this pickleball stadium, or when they construct, it should be fine. But there might be another place to construct that kind of same facilities. We'll be more than happy to raise the fund for that. I'm that kind of person. But this place is really not set up for that pickleball stadium.
Okay.
It will make a disaster of the peaceful neighborhood. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next.
My name is Ryan Lendy. I live just around the corner from the park, so I just agree with everybody who's come up and was against it. And I also think at the one meeting you were talking about that it's not limited to Elk Grove residents. So you can build courts, you'll have Elk Grove people there, but you're gonna have people coming from other places once they know there's more pickleball courts. So then, the more people you have from other places, the less opportunity even Elk Grove people would have. So how many pickleball courts you have to keep building and building? So anyways, I just wanted to express that I'm against it and support my neighbors.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin?
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Condiff? Oh, you can come up, please. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pat Mitchum. I spoke at one of the other meetings. Pat Mitchum, and I'm a owner, one of the quads in Parcel League. I just want to say that the last meeting, I felt very heard and very hopeful, and not so much anymore. I didn't get any notification about this meeting anyway until one of our committee members had notified me that this was happening. So just kind of disappointed that we're not in the loop and that there's not more transparency. We just really feel things, the pickleball obviously is an issue, but I think the bigger issue is the lack of communication and transparency between the village and the Park District and the people in the neighborhood, the residents around Marshall Park. I think we're well within that 200 feet limit, and we didn't get any notification whatsoever. I mean, the last meeting, you spoke to me directly and said, you have been heard. We hear you. What you did worked.
Yeah, that was at the village board meeting.
Right,
I was a
right.
guest.
Pardon? Again?
I was a guest at that meeting.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah.
And you were heard. We've had numerous meetings. We've had at least 5 public meetings about this topic. So yeah, I mean, I truly believe you all have been heard.
So I wasn't aware there were 5 meetings.
Well, we've had numerous in the Park District, at least 3. The Planning Commission had 1. These are all advertised on websites. And the Village Board had 1. And now this would be probably up to 6 or 7 public meetings.
But in order to be informed, then you have to be on all those websites to see what's happening?
Yeah, but we have to plant our agenda on the website, was it 10 days prior to the meeting?
48 hours.
What is it?
48 hours? Yeah.
Okay, well, we do it Monday, right? And we've been doing that since I've been on the board, I don't know how many years.
Okay, all right.
At your 200-foot thing, you know why you said you weren't notified? Again, that'll be the village. Whatever happens tonight, if we're in favor of it, then the village is gonna have that on their June meeting, whatever their meeting date is. They've made a request to bring it to the public and give you guys, anybody in that area, 10 days notice. So they can't send it yet because they don't know how we're gonna react.
Okay, is there any chance that this board is going to vote no?
I'm voting for it, so I don't know what the
Okay.
other
Well, we're
ones
gonna
are.
have to get to that on the
Okay,
agenda.
all
as
right,
planned.
because we kind of feel like it's a waste of effort at this point, because it all seems to be a done deal that was conceived long ago and being brought to fruition behind closed doors.
There has
So-
never been closed door meeting on this topic, not once. I have to say that because if somebody hears that and posts it on Facebook, it'll make us look like we're violating OMA acts, open meeting acts. We don't do
Okay.
that.
Okay, I'm glad to hear
I
that,
just,
okay.
and I just, because I read a lot on Facebook and whatnot, and some of the facts are just so off. And on that one, I only say it because that could put this board and our staff in trouble. And I don't
Okay.
want anybody thinking that we've ever had a closed-door meeting regarding pickleball. Not
Okay.
towards you, it's just towards the public.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, but just,
I was saying, you know, once we heard the initial concerns, we did go and have the board go back and ask staff to look at other locations and give recommendations as to whether there were other locations that we might consider. So this hasn't been set in stone. Marshall's been our favorite because from initially, that's what we thought was the best location. But after we heard from the community, we did go back and ask staff several weeks ago, and they supplied a report to the board. I believe those that were at the meeting, we discussed at the last meeting or the meeting before that, the results of that. We've also had it that, like John's mentioned, we've had at least 2 or 3 different meetings here where we've listened to the public. That doesn't mean we all can agree with everything you're saying, okay? But we did listen, and I know I'm taking into consideration the things you've said. Doesn't necessarily mean I agree with it, but I am listening, okay? We also did a sound study, because one of the main issues was the sound issue that has been talked about several times. I didn't think we had to do that, but the staff went ahead and did that additional, excuse me, that additional step to have an expert come out at that location and do a sound study. We already had done research on the sound noises and decibel levels for pickleball courts and how far it traveled, how long the distance was for it to dissipate, okay? And we felt that based on those initial studies that staff did, we were within the distance that it was not gonna have a great effect on the houses. But we did the additional study, went a step further, an independent study come out at that location to do a sound study, and they compared, I think it was last meeting, he came out and presented the findings regarding the decibel levels and the ambiance, other noise in the area, okay, that gets absorbed by the sound of pickleball. And the conclusion here was that with our mitigation, we also looked at mitigation recommendations for how can we mitigate the noise. So we are listening, we're not just not listening. If we did, we wouldn't do any mitigation of the noise and pay that expense. We wouldn't have gone and taken the study to see how it's gonna affect the neighborhood. But their findings was that with the other ambiance noise that you have around that park, there's gonna be minimal disruptions to residents during court operations. I know parking was another issue that we were talking about. We looked at that as far as not only what the number of spots we have there, which is more than any other location, okay, in our other parks where we could put it. And all these events are not gonna be going on at the same time throughout the year. you're talking basically a 5 to 6 month period, mostly in the spring and summer, where you have the majority of that park being used by those events. Wintertime or late fall, cold weather, maybe the pickleball, you'll have some use, but you're not gonna have soccer there, you're not gonna have the splash pad people there.
Well, of course not in the winter time.
Right, so obviously, so there's minimal time throughout the year. So.
Well, I don't know about
I
minimal
guess what
time, but.
The only point I wanted to challenge is that we are listening, we did listen, we went back to the drawing board, and we may not agree with the ultimate conclusion that you have, that you don't want it there, but we did listen to your concerns and tried to address as many issues as we could, so. just wanted to add
Anything
that.
else, ma'am?
Well, there's a lot of shift workers that live in the area. There's small children. I mean, imagine having a small baby that you're putting down to nap on a nice spring day. You couldn't even have the windows open with that kind of noise. I mean, I really thought about bringing a tape of 6 pickleball courts going at the same time and play it while we're all here so that we can hear that sound reverberating off the walls. Because I think that's what it's going to be like in our house. And it's really quite upsetting. And I just think you have to delineate the difference between needs and wants. The people in our neighborhood need their peace of mind, need that open space. It's a very densely populated spot. And it's the open spaces that help us keep our sanity. Now to replace that with all this high density activity and very loud activity, I don't think is fair to the people that live there. Now on the other side is the wants, the young ladies that talk very eloquently, and actually welcome. I'm glad to see you involved in civic affairs. Oh, you're on the wrong side this time, but that's fine. But at any rate, I just think that those are wants. Yeah, I'd like to be able to play pickleball outside once or twice a week, but is that as important as the sanity and the property values of the people that actually live in that neighborhood? I'm going to vote no on that, and I just hope that you will too. I mean, what they've done to this park plan that was originally quite acceptable to the neighbors is put on one too many straws on that camel's back. We've got so much going on now, it's just like we're getting the feeling that anything that's going to be proposed is going to be green lighted, and it's not going to make any difference what we say. And, I appreciate the sound mitigation, but it's going to be a big ugly black box at the park where all the native plants were supposed to be, and the open area that the kids were supposed to be able to play pickup ball or fly a kite or have a picnic or throw a frisbee. Where's that? Where's our neighborhood for our neighborhood? Where is that facility? It's no longer a valid concern for either the park district or the village, because it really seems the decision has been made. I'm sorry, that's just from, I started out very open and, as I said, very hopeful. And I feel it all petering away. It's just very, very sad to me. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
I'm Tricia Cass on Wellington. And
What was your
I'd like
name,
to
ma'am? I'm
ask-
sorry, it's just for the record.
Tricia Cass on Wellington. I'd like to ask if it's been considered a wide open space on Biesterfield where they play tennis. There's ambulances, there's traffic, that doesn't obstruct anyone in the community. And if you swap them, you could accommodate maybe a little more peace across the board.
That was considered.
And
yes.
why wasn't it?
Well, we don't know what this vote's gonna be, and until then.
Okay,
but
well,
the-
that seems like
but
a
staff-
logical solution in my mind.
Staff did look at that as one of probably 7 or 8 options.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand, we have ambulance constant, traffic constant, going to 53, going to Arlington, and they should really accommodate for that noise factor. It would blend right in. Whereas ours is a peaceful residential community that needs peace.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Cundiff? Hello.
There are two representatives here tonight who are from the HOAs, and that's part of the density of our community is the HOAs. Victor, who spoke tonight, lives right off the corner of the Park District. He is less than 100 feet from the pickleball course as it is projected currently. I paced off my window and from my yard to the fence that is currently in place, I am 93 feet. But that's even irrelevant. That's not the issue. The issue more than anything else is a matter of transparency and honesty and teamwork, part of your core values that I think need to be reviewed by the Park District. Because when you say that we all know that what's going on, and there's been plenty of meetings, you need to go back again to 2021, when Ben presented the beginning of the grant, and everyone came who signed the paper, who was accepted at that time, and said this is fine, because what he said was, it's a neighborhood park, it's a dawn to dusk park, it has no lighting, it's going to have swings for little kids, like Bill's granddaughter, who's 4 years old, and is not going to be crowded. And somebody said, how come it's being stuffed? And at that time, there wasn't even pickleball. They were considering it being stuffed because of adding the full basketball court at that time, and the splash pad. Now the splash pad, the playground, the basketball, and the soccer field, and the detention pond, or whatever that is, okay, leave us approximately 2 acres for what he also promised at that time. And that was a flexible, open space. It is the third item of 3 items that the people in this village, 900 of them, that did the study in 23, said they wanted in a park. It is not going to be there if pickleball is there unless somebody measures vastly differently than other people do. The other thing is that in 21, when we met, we accepted the idea that we were looking at a little $2.3 million park. It has gone from 4 million at one time and 3 million at another today. So who knows where the other million went? Maybe we should put that into Audubon and build an inside pickleball court. But who knows? Beginning in 2023, in January of 2023, unknown to anyone in the neighborhood, the Park District started talking about adding additional large features to Marshall Park. It wasn't identified as to what it was, so that wasn't very transparent. Or maybe adding a couple of other little amenities. And from that time through March, June, and July, we got very interested in lighting, sport lighting. And by October, in your own minutes, there are authorizations for sport lighting and Upland being extended. And on, I believe, November 11th, there was a signed authorization with Upland, okay? During that time, the commissioner suggested that we really needed to notify the residents, but that didn't happen. He did it twice, and it didn't happen. Audubon was spoken to somehow or other. I don't know how you did that survey. And they said, no, they didn't want lighting, and they didn't get it. We were never asked. There are 2,500 people within a half a mile of our park. And we consider it our park because it was attached to our school. It had a place for the kids who lived at Boardwalk to come through, which I now no longer can, and I understand that. But those little kids used to come over. The Park District had put out a couple of tables. They put out some nice swings. They had some fun things, and they played. And the soccer was there, and the kids played. and the basketball one hoop, and they played. And it was always been a neighborhood park. Close by it, within, I know you've said it's 200 feet, but it really isn't. All around the park, there are people who have enjoyed the park and will continue to enjoy the park. But one of the things that you don't seem to acknowledge is the fact that the 700 building, which is a condominium right closest to the Lake Cosman, has 5 children in it. They are under 8 years old. Now, I don't know about Mr. O'Malley's condo, but if you look around the neighborhood down Shelley, there's a few grandchildren, and in our HOA that has 142 units, well, how many kids did you estimate? 10 or 12? Yeah. That's interesting. Where's this array of people coming from? In one of the papers that Ben sent to the state, it says, Marshall Park is a neighborhood park and will not be a community park. Where's the integrity and the respect for us? We don't feel as a community that you are reacting at all to what you, as a park commissioners, should be concerned about, is the people who live near a park, not just the people that are coming from other communities, which we've already had an experience with, okay, who want to play. We suggested to you options, viable options, but they never got really translated into anything. I gave you a picture of a rendering for the basketball courts on Geister Field, and all kinds of noise came up around that. Something like $100,000 to do it, when the person who did that diagram for you, who does this all the time, indicated that it would cost between $4,000 and $8,000. $250 to restripe a course. The rest is in the netting, which can be rolled up and taken someplace else when you decide to do something else. There are all kinds of tennis courts in Elk Grove Village that also have some parking that could be used until you get the grand one over across on the other side of Rawling Road. If the people over there accept the fact that you're putting in berms and trees, and that will be acceptable to them. We feel as a community that you have been totally unresponsive to us. You have not heard us, you have not responded to us, and you do not respect our needs.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Oh, hi, Laura.
Lori Christensen. I'm here representing Boardwalk. I don't think that's been clear to anybody all along. And I just want to make sure you know that the way that you put the park and jammed it all up against Boardwalk and the quads, I just want to make sure you know I think it was extremely rude and inconsiderate to begin with. But you have totally disregarded everything we've been asking since we found out about this and since these meetings have been going on.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you all. Any correspondence?
Unless you want to hear them vote for it.
Hearing, seeing none. We are at comments by the commissioners. Anybody have comments?
Start on that end. I always do.
Tom, anything? Or kind of. David? Scotty?
No, not right now.
Bill?
Yeah, as each person talked, I tried to write down some notes again, just like last time. So the gentleman in the back row, when he was talking about having us think before we act, obviously I put some thought to this. 3 of his major concerns were noise. We've done a study issue. They considered it's a non-issue. That was from an independent party. Parking, I believe, is a non-issue. The park's open 7 months out of the year, maybe 8 months if you have good weather. There's over 70 spots. At this point, I don't see parking as being an issue. Property values, I don't know. I really don't. I don't think anybody does. Lori's a real estate agent.
What?
Okay, I also know 5 or 6 different real estate agents. I have asked them. It's up to the individual that's purchasing a house. So if a house has a backyard, I don't know if they think it's gonna be great to walk out their backyard and have a $3 million park as a part of their backyard. I don't know. We will find out. But those are my opinions. I think, Richard, when you spoke, Richard, I appreciate your opinion.
Connie, I'm so sorry I have to say this.
You are close.
Bill, 1 second. I'm truly sorry to have to say this, but we have a video broadcast going out to the village, and if we have the back and forth, nobody's gonna hear either side. Go ahead, Bill.
Property value is not a deciding factor for me. I think it works both ways anyway. So, Richard, as you spoke, yes, it's a tough one on you because you are so close. Petitions do matter. My point that I brought up is if we were a no vote, I might get 500 to 1,000 people signing a petition that says we want it there. What I was also saying when it came to petitions 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago is, yes, that is a fact. I know of people that sign that petition that have a family member in that house that are pro pickleball at Marshall. So this is some of the feedback that I get. That was probably the only things I wrote down for yourself. The third person said, as she stood there, that more people are against it than for it. I have to disagree with that. I make myself accessible. You know, I'm at the pavilion. I've got children. I've got relatives. I've got friends. The majority of people coming to me have asked me to vote in favor of putting pickleball at Marshall. I think my role is pretty easy. I need to be doing what the majority of the people in the town, not a particular neighborhood. That's still coming from me. Joe spoke on Shelley about something about when he was younger, something like that. I continue to reiterate this to those residents. Again, it was never a park. People might have called it a park. It was never owned by the park district. It was a school that had double playgrounds and had an agreement that other people could use a soccer field back there. When the park district owned it, we are going to go ahead and make it a park district facility with those for everybody. Other things I wrote down, Ryan spoke, all I wrote down was, you know, I've got to support the community at the same time when I listen to the needs of that particular area. Pat, you talked about the neighborhood and how we're losing open space. It's a 6 acres. Again, 2.5 acres is open space. One of the things this is just what the information I get from our Director of Parks and Planning, that 2.5 acres is still open space. It gets added to that when soccer is not in use. Anybody can fly a kite. I also made a note that it seems a little bit disingenuous that we act like there's no open space, but the whole HOA that lives across the street from Versailles all the way down to Burgundy, plenty of open space. Oh, that's right, that's private just for them. See, I can't have the community go over to that spot and use. So I am trying to do something for the community at Marshall Park. To me, a big difference. The real number is 3.6 million. I saw 4 million in a letter to the editor. Last number I got, it's 3.6 million. I believe close to $700,000 is for playground equipment, a major expense. I've said this before, I'm never gonna apologize. We're gonna have our own kids there, we're gonna have grandkids there. I think it's great. I'm never gonna apologize for doing things for people 10 and under, ever. Bill Lavin, who was actually quiet, I think he brought up some of the greatest concerns as a person that's on the corner. He has been active. One of my roles is to make sure that there's ongoing discussion with him to mitigate anything that happens. If that means that it's too crowded at night, well, am I flexible to change the hours? Absolutely. If more pickleball courts get built, I don't know what the future is gonna hold, but I try to be open that, hey, I'll just take that. If it ends up being a pickleball court, maybe it'll be a tennis court in 5 years. I don't know. I do leave myself open, so I'm gonna continue dialogue and get all your feedback that you can to hopefully mitigate your concerns. And then, you know, it's not being standoffish by me, but I'm just seeing this so much in life, and please don't take it as a negative, because I do respect your opinion, but there comes a point people have to, at least me, as a 63-year-old man, I'm getting real, oh man, I gotta be delicate here, but I can't have the minority continue to dictate to the majority what should happen in a particular area. And the people that I talk to in this community want more pickleball, and they want it. So I can't find a lot of places. I can't find 2 other votes on the board to put it in a particular place. So yes, moving forward, I'm a yes vote to go to the village and have people that have a better appreciation for what neighborhoods need, etc. So that's just some of my feedback listening to you guys. That's all I have.
Okay.
Well, the part about getting a building, and it's a small dollar amount, is a falsehood. Because it'd be at least $2 million, and the village would never rezone to give us that property and no tax dollars, ever. They'll never let us go in the industrial park. It would have to be a private concern to buy a building and run a pickleball court. We won't be able to do it. And definitely not $4,000 to make a court.
That's all. Anything else?
So I hope the fears aren't warranted. I've also lived in town 63 years. I hear you guys talk about it. I've raised my children there. I've got grandchildren in town now. But I've seen everything. I played baseball on the fields where across from the library. And I still know some of the homeowners on Yarmouth. You think that they had open land like you guys have and you're getting a playground? They got a pavilion put there within 200 feet. Noise, parking, but it was for the greater good of Elk Grove Village. When they added the skate park over there, the people along Victoria came out and they didn't want the lights and they thought it'd be bad for the neighborhood. And after it was completed, nobody complained. So yes, I do have a goal to mitigate anything that's going on there, and I'll continue to be open. And you know what? That's all I can say right now.
Commissioner Bianchi?
You know, this is tough. Right now I'm undecided right now. Couple of things. You know, my vote on my 10 years, actually 11 years on this board, has been, you know, when the dog park came and we had the public out, voted no for the certain areas. I want a dog park. I want a pickleball court. It's the location where we do it. I don't live in your area. I want to respect you and your area. We do have many tennis courts. I do believe in the report that we do have, that there are other locations that we can put them in there. And I get it, we're putting a brand new park there, and it's the, you know, if you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. But at the same time, you know, I don't think it'll decrease property values. The argument that it will bring drugs in, I don't, the population that plays pickleball, I do not believe that to be a huge issue. The increased noise, we did have a report come out saying that it'll be very minimal. The lights, when we talked about the lights, the new technology with lights won't you know, go into, it's like what, .1 with the candle or something? Is that-
Yeah, I mean, at the outskirts of, like, where the residents start, it's less than a candlelight.
Yeah. So, I'm frustrated because I feel like there's a lot of things that we want to do in this community at the Park District level, and we can't do it because of there's not the right place. We're landlocked. The land that we have is all by the communities. So I'm frustrated on that. But I'm still right now at this moment, I am undecided because you have been coming to all these meetings. You have been sharing your concerns with us. I feel that we have been transparent, communicating with you. I was one of the commissioners that did attend the village board meeting when Mayor Johnson spoke, when President Walz went to the, and spoke as well at that meeting. I was there to listen to everyone and hear everyone's concern. I hear the other side too. They want pickleball courts. They want people to come out. To play. It's a fast-growing sport. I used to be a physical education teacher before I became a school administrator. So I completely understand. I completely get it. I used to teach pickleball. So I'm just sharing my thoughts right now that are coming from the top of my head. I hear you. I respect you. I value all your opinions. And I appreciate you coming out and sharing everything with us. So thank you.
I'm the only one left. I've gone back and forth on this since when we started months ago. I was definitely for it at the time, and then I heard residents as well, and I thought, that is gonna be maybe contentious. But then I go back to all the pickleball people that came here, and they gave us some facts that we backed up. I'm gonna be a yes, just to be transparent up front. But a lot of our residents that have pickleball, that like pickleball, they're going to other towns because we don't have enough courts. We just don't have enough. It's the fastest growing sport, and quite frankly, we're probably 7 years behind the times on that. I had asked for pickleball courts 5 years ago, but this wasn't too popular enough, I guess. There's one thing I want to clear up in my opinion, and that's the neighborhood park and the Dusk to Dawn park. I agree with you. That park is somewhat of a neighborhood park, but so are the others. JC, so are Mead in a way, right? But at no point can the park district say, "I'm sorry, you don't live in that neighborhood. You can't come to this park." It's just impossible. That's not what we're allowed to do here. We can't ask residents their IDs to get into a pickleball facility. We can't ask them to get in IDs to get into Rainbow Falls. We can't ask them IDs to play basketball. And that's the one thing I just want to make clear. We have to do what's right for the entire community. And to do it right by the entire community, we might have non-residents come into town and use our facilities. As a matter of fact, there's some facilities that we hope to Pete, we have non-residents, because they can subsidize what we have to charge the residents. So there's been a ton of work on this thing. I know I've been on that side of the fence. You're disappointed. You don't believe many things that we're telling you, but I promise you, there was a lot of input here. There was a lot of meetings about it. And I know you don't believe that, but I can promise you, there was. So, any other comments from the commissioners? No. Okay.
And it still goes to the village.
Yeah.
So you know what, at board meeting, everybody's gonna have an opportunity to speak at the same time and try to convey your thoughts to a whole different independent, non-park district representative.
And that's the one where the mayor said he would be contacting people. Don't hang me on the 300 feet, but it was like 2/3 more than what they would usually use as a radius on this topic. So I'm guessing if you're on Smithwick, for sure you're within. If I'm going the north side, Bordeaux, Burgundy, I have a feeling Craig will hit just about everybody. Victor, on your side, I suspect it's going to go that whole, not only yours, but further east of you. And I suspect they'll even get over to the building that Connie talked about, which was, I think, is 700, which is kind of kitty corner from you, a little further out. So, And as a matter of fact, I can get a hold of the mayor and remind him of what he said, so that does happen, so. Okay, we're gonna move to recommendations of acceptance and approval. Yes, ma'am, one more.
I just have.
Up here, please. Just so we do it on Channel 6 or Facebook or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
the gentleman spoke about majorities and minorities, but if you're talking about the people affected who don't want it, that's the majority. The other is anyone in Oak Grove that's like 4 blocks away, oh yeah, we want pickleball courts. I would probably feel that way too, to some degree.
My only discussion with you on that point is, and I'm not being facetious,
No,
a true neighborhood park would mean that that neighborhood would subsidize that park wholly, and that's not what takes place. Every taxpayer pays into each of our parks and has the ability to use all of our amenities. That's all I'm saying.
But those most affected, I repeat, are a majority. If you're looking for, okay, the majority versus a minority. Everyone else would think, that's great, pickleball courts. But the ones most effective, we are a majority that would not want them there.
Okay,
Just
thank
saying.
you. Okay. The first one's recommendations of acceptance, approval of 2023 annual comprehensive financial report. I need a motion and a
So
second.
moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
President Wallace?
Yes. Approval of a 4-year copier lease agreement with Gordon Flesh Company, Inc., Geneva, Illinois, in the amount of $94,809.12. Need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions by anybody on this one?
Yeah, I had a couple. I talked to Brad and Ben a little bit before the meeting. It just looked like a big increase, and they had mentioned that there's an option, which they didn't put in this document, that we could do a 5-year lease. That would be $245. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brad. $245 a month less.
$254 per month less.
$254. Okay. $254 less if we go to a 5-year versus a 4-year lease. I don't know the pros and cons of, maybe you can share, because you recommended here 4 versus a 5. Give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so there is an increase in the lease from our prior lease. That was something that we expected. Obviously, we were in a good place with our prior agreement. And then some of the changes in the market that have occurred caused an increase. As far as the 4 or 5 year, we've traditionally done a 4-year. Staff's talked it over. We're open to a 5-year agreement as well, if that's something that we want to save. As far as on a per monthly, I know Ben and I have debated on is it a savings or not. Obviously, it'd be the same machines for 5 years. We'd be paying more, but it would be a per month savings or a reduction in fee.
And it would lock that in for 5 years.
Correct,
too.
we'd lock it in for 5 years as well. So, we're not concerned prior, I mean, there's been a lot of changes over the years in copiers. That's obviously reduced. You know, the technology's pretty, standard now, with the color copiers, et cetera. So we're not as concerned with that additional year, if that's something that you guys want to consider.
And the monthly charge that you've listed here is for how many copiers?
11 copiers.
11, okay.
So that does include changing one of our existing copiers to a color copier versus a black and white. So that increases. That's part of the increase. Another thing that factored into the increase is the chipped cartridges for ink cartridges now. You know, you can't buy bulk toner because toner and ink are included in the agreement. You have to buy manufacturer authorized ink cartridges and toner now. So it's a little bit higher cost.
So is
gets
that,
passed on.
is the toner cost consistent throughout the 5-year contract, or can that move? Because
No, that's included. Maintenance and
Okay.
toner and stuff are included in we do have a per pay, we pay per copy. That's something that we've looked into doing this year, is pre-purchasing some of the copiers. Obviously, that commits us to a copier amount or a page print amount. So if we don't hit that threshold, we'd be paying extra. We were conservative in our estimate, so we're not concerned about that. but-
are there any other commissioners that want to table this and discuss on going from a 4 to 5-year contract?
We can, from my understanding, we can amend the motion if that's what you guys choose to do.
Well, if that's the case, I would like to know what staff recommends. If staff says, if the board asks you, hey, we're asking you between a 4 and a 5,
We're indifferent. I mean, we budgeted for an increase. This is slightly higher than what we budgeted. The 5-year would be
well, if you're
acceptable.
indifferent, we would take the savings, right?
I would debate it being a savings.
So we're not indifferent.
Well, I wouldn't call it a savings. So when you buy a car,
Well, you get,
It's a
you get
lease.
used to that.
well, it's a
product
lease.
for
Correct.
another year.
I know, but
And there's no increase.
it's not just this monthly savings because you're extending for 5 years.
All right, I guess there's a simple way to do this, is a motion and a second, and if the vote passes on 4 years, it passes, right?
Yeah.
And if you wanted a 5-year, you
Well, no.
could say no.
No, we can amend the,
Well, I'm trying to get a consensus, and I see none.
we're open to a 5-year. That's what I'm
Okay,
gathering.
what's,
So-
I asked you, okay, there's no savings. What's the advantage of
No,
going to
I'm not
5?
saying it's not as much as you would think because you're extending to 5 years, so it's 12 months more payments. So it eats away at that $254 a month.
Right, but if we went 4 years, at that point, we'd have to have a new contract. And
Right,
it would
you
probably
start
be
over.
higher.
The downfall,
It would be-
I'm actually 4 or 5 years, I'm just saying it's not as much as it looks on paper.
the downfall would be if we want to make a change. We have to wait another year to change copiers. I think we've been pretty stable. If anything, it's adding color. This change that we're doing this year already adds color, so we'd have a color copier at all our facilities now. So I don't see anything. If anything, it would be a reduction, and we'd have to wait a little bit more to do
Can I
that.
get some opinions from other commissioners?
I'm indifferent. I was comfortable with staff's recommendation. If staff is going to 5, I don't know anything about this subject, so there are things I just have to read and go on.
For lack of a better term, I think if you guys pick a lane and just ask us what you're looking for, I think we can get that done.
Traditionally, we've done 4 years. I'm comfortable doing 4 years. If we want to reduce the payment amount and the board is not happy with the dollar amount, we can go to 5 years. But I would,
Yeah,
I
but
will stay with our recommendation of 4
It sounds like
years.
4 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I just have one other question along with
Do we
the,
make,
Sure.
on the recommendation here. On page 2, it talks about the agreement, it talks about includes prepaid images for the first time. The district will save approximately 11%. Okay, so,
That is not included in this
Proposal.
contract right now. That would be a separate contract. We want to do a 1-year, something we've never done with the prepaid images.
so you're not including that in this, because it says this agreement includes, so.
The proposal, dollar amount on the proposal in your packet has that. The contract that we would be approving would not include that, because I want to do it only for 1 year.
Okay, so that section will be, we'll address separately?
If we want to do it for 4 years to match the agreement, yes, we will return to you for an approval.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna table time, because there's too many questions. And if we want more discussion, we could just do it in the committee of the whole.
Well,
I prefer to get a vote.
Well, I know, but if the board can't
We
make a
have a-
consensus.
we have a motion?
Yeah.
I motion,
I second.
The 4-year? Okay. Francis, can I get a roll call, please?
Okay, this is on a 4-year.
On a 4-year,
correct.
yes. As presented on the minutes, or on the agenda.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
no,
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. Okay.
I just have a question about this, if you don't mind. I was a technology buyer for over 30-some years, everything from mainframes to copiers. I'm not sure what the board policy is for a contract that's over $5,000 or $10,000. Do you bid that out to at least
Yes.
3 competitors? So
Yes. By
so-
law, we have to.
Okay, it's at least 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so the company that you're with right now is the selected bidder? And you're just dealing with an existing contract to extend it or do something else?
This is a new agreement with Gordon Flesh, who is our current provider.
Right.
Copiers are exempt from having, being required to go out to bid. So
Really?
we,
Even at $95,000 a year?
they're exempt from going out to bid. We went out for proposals and we got proposals from numerous companies, but we are exempt from the legal bidding process.
Okay.
But we still
Okay.
go through a
Thanks.
separate
Just-
process that's similar.
Just a curiosity question, you know, try to help you save some money, maybe.
Okay, next agenda is C, is approval of directing the executive director return to the village board for the approval of pickleball at Marshall Park. I need a motion and a second.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please, Francis.
Okay. Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi,
No.
President Wells.
Yes. Okay, we're at acceptance of the bid for Dominion Lighting of Elmhurst, Illinois for the fitness center lighting upgrade in the amount of $30,270.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Can you explain this one? I read your kind of synopsis, but just for the public and.
So lately, every year we go through our facilities and we look for ways to upgrade our energy efficiency. And lighting is one of those ways. Through LED lighting, it's something that ComEd encourages us to do. The fitness center is a huge chunk of it. Since we've been going through multiple renovations throughout the fitness center, we thought this was the next phase to do, and so we went out to bid for it.
Mark, does this one qualify for like a ComEd rebate?
Yes.
Okay, and we're recouping that, right? Not the installer, correct?
We do.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
That's
to be
part of
clear,
the
because.
contract. So they do the work, they get the rebate, and that comes back to us.
Yeah, because a lot of contractors out there don't tell the end user that that's really their money. They trade it for labor, which is always a loser, so I just wanted to make everybody clear of that.
No,
Okay.
that's our money.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, right, Francis? Okay, could I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
President Wells.
Yes. Approval of purchase of holiday lighting from Holiday Outdoor Decor of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That's pretty cool, right? Holiday lighting, Bethlehem. Through the Buy Board Co-op Group, in the amount of $62,438.75.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, just a roll call.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
President Wells.
Yes. Okay, approval of pay application number 8 for Hacienda Landscaping, Inc. of Manuka, Illinois for the Marshall Park redevelopment project in the amount of $359,243.
I have a different number.
Yeah, there was an update prior, or just right before this, so the number will be $359,243. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
I know where you're headed. Mark, obviously, this has been a kind of a bone of contention with both staff and the board with Hacienda on their scheduling, although it's been pretty wet. But can you update us on this? And my only other question on top of that is, in your packet, it says final, and that kind of scares me a little bit. In the packet portion, and maybe I read it wrong.
It's not the final.
It's not,
Okay, if it's not the final, then I have questions.
No, it's definitely not final.
Fair.
So the past 2 weeks, I've really been pushing Hacienda to
get the project completed. We've been discussing the timeline of having the completion date as Memorial Day since last August. And they've been falling short, to say the least. So over the last 2 weeks, I've been pushing harder and harder. I feel like we're in a decent spot to get the southern end of the park, which includes the playground, the splash pad, the shelter, completed. However, the parking lot is in a state of disrepair, and I don't believe that we'll be able to open up as we had intended. That being said, we do have the contractor to do the parking lot scheduled for June 7th, and at that time, we really should be good to go.
Okay. Any other questions?
How long does it take to the parking lot, Mark?
1 day.
Is that the curbing?
No, the parking
No,
lot.
Curbing's done.
Asphalt. Curbing's done.
Okay. Oh, all right. I got it. Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Biedke?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. Last one for payment is approval of the pay application number 5 for Innovation Landscape, Inc. of Plainfield, Illinois for the Windermere Park Playground Project in the amount of $31,110.08.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have questions on this one?
This was the final application, pay application for Windermere.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Biedke?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. Committee reports. First one out of the gate is capital projects by Commissioner Cook.
Nothing to report. I've already done.
Any questions for Tom and his no report? Sorry. I set you up for that one. Finance Committee, Commissioner Carlson.
Okay, in the corporate fund, 78,471 in PPRT collected in April. All expense categories are under budget. Year-to-date of $2,431,384 compared to a budget of $1,936,301. The Recreation Fund, fees and admissions, $432,191 compared to a budget of $469,240. Program fees were $748,109 compared to a budget of $749,341. All expense categories at or under budget except program contractual based on timing of payments and utilities. Year-to-date of $780,701 compared to a budget of $347,465. The Golf Fund, 3,415 rounds played in April, 6,310 rounds played to date, 2,536 more than last year, year-to-date. Fees and admissions, $270,903 compared to $165,722. I assume that's the budget.
Correct.
Doesn't say. All expense categories are at or near budget year-to-date except supplies and utilities. Driving range year-to-date of $13,862 compared to a budget of negative $8,733. Year-to-date of negative $74,103 compared to a budget of negative $394,180. And that concludes my report.
Questions for Commissioner Carlson? Committee of the Whole is me. Tonight we had no Committee of the Whole. We started at 7. Last Committee of the Whole, we talked about Mayor Johnson's reminder about dog leashes at our parks. We asked Mark, well, didn't ask, Mark came to us and said he's got a few more signs and he's been moving his signs more periodically. And then we talked about our ADA transition plan, which was presented, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it just gave us a long-term look at where we sit now on our ADA and where we should go in the future and how quickly we get there. The Athletic Committee, Commissioner Carlson.
Yeah, on Monday, I went to a football meeting, and it was interesting because they met with this company that, and there'll be more information coming, that have a cap for the football helmets. And that, in some cases, reduces chance of concussion by 70%.
Is that what they use at the Bears practices?
Yes, and a lot of high schools are using them and colleges. Now, there's two different manufacturers, and the one that starts with a G, that one is only practice. They don't wear it in the game. But the one they're looking at is worn all the time, practice and games. So they'll be coming with numbers and budget and that, but it seems kind of exciting, and especially reducing.
Do they talk about like life expectancy of the product?
Yeah, that's, it's, there's a lot of variables. They're saying like 4 years, but Mount Prospect has used it so far for 7. And there's an offset of the cost because you don't have to repaint the helmets every year, which is like $45 each per helmet. You never need to repaint the helmet again. You still got to send them out. I think it's every 3 or 5 years for certification, but we'll have to see how the numbers work out. But it was interesting. That concludes my report.
Any other questions for Commissioner Carlson? Golf Course Committee, Commissioner O'Malley.
Your ADA transition plan was John McGovern from WT, just to clarify.
You could have kicked in while I was.
I didn't want to interrupt. Golf course, or the golf committee did not meet. We are going to schedule something for June, I believe. Scotty and I will get together with Alex. I will add that the band, No Limits, is playing this Saturday. Today's May 23rd, so on May 25th from 7 to 10 o'clock, No Limits will be playing at Fox Run. No cover charge. That's it.
Just on that, I did have a couple of people come up to me from the golf course, and they were saying how the bands on a Saturday, if they start at 6, everybody's coming in at or 7. They come in at 6, and there's still possible golfers there. I haven't noticed it, but there have been a couple of people wondering why are we doing bands in the summer months when it's a golf facility, and that should be more for the winter months. And I said I would bring it up to the board, so consider it brought up. So if you want to talk about that on your next golf course committee meeting between amongst all you, that would be perfect. The Youth Committee, Commissioner Biedke.
Our next board meeting, the first one in June, we'll have our scholarship winners come out. We'll send a letter to those winners, notifying them of everything regarding attendance of the next meeting. Scott, the president of the foundation, will be here. He will present and talk about it, seeing that he is the president of the foundation.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any other questions? Adult Center Committee, Commissioner Cook.
Yes, we had a meeting. The advisory board met on May 21st. It was last Tuesday, I'm sorry. Things are going well there. Their membership's up to 299, so they're trying to get over 300. Coming up, the Botanic Garden trip scheduled for Wednesday, May 29th, is coming up quickly. They're having a bocce ball tournament on June 5th, and as of last Tuesday, they were still needed 3 more. So, anybody interested in that can contact them to sign up. The Rotary is having a pizza luncheon for the seniors on June 6th. A new member coffee for those that might be interested in attending is Tuesday, June 11th. They're also having an estate planning presentation on June 14th. And the new couches and bookshelves are in the entryway, and everybody is enjoying those and likes what was purchased. And also, they were very excited and saddened because they got one of their members that passed away but left a $10,000 donation to the senior center, Joe Hauser, that was presented to the senior center. So
Joe Hauser?
Joe Hauser, yeah.
Any relation?
Don't know.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think so.
I think he used to be on, when I did the board, the senior advisory board, he was on the senior advisory board.
Yeah, he was a board member,
Yeah.
Yeah.
previous board member.
And so they're gonna look at how that can best be used in his honor. And that ends my report. Oh, and lastly, Dancing with the Bands is back, next one is on June 6th. So that is my report.
Any questions for Commissioner Cook? Last, and more than likely least, getting Pavilion Committee, Commissioner O'Malley.
We just talked to Tiffany and I spoke with Tom. We're gonna be meeting at our first meeting in June, which is the second Thursday at 4 o'clock. So, we try to not go more than, a quarter without a meeting. So we haven't had anything in the second quarter. And we've told Tiffany who to invite, so we're all good. And I'll give that presentation at the second meeting in June.
Okey dokey. Any questions for Bill? And his committee? Okay, old business, anybody? Hearing, seeing none, new business.
I just have one question for
Sure.
Ben. Do that, the trailer with the TV, I don't know what you call it.
Trailer with the TV.
The Jumbotron, thank you. Does that get used, do people can people rent it out, or?
Well, like school district, the high school, we let them use it for track meets and football games sometimes, and then we really haven't had anyone ask to rent it.
Okay. Is there a
not sure
fee
that
structure in
private
case
renting
people
would
want to
be-
rent it?
What's that?
Is there like a fee structure, like?
I'm not sure we'd wanna do that.
I would have to come to you guys.
We're not
and
looking to
talk-
rent it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Just because of liability.
Because we'd have to man it, right?
Yeah, it would be,
Yeah,
I don't, yeah, so we use it for summer, not concerts, summer movies. And other events, special events, the golf, what are they called, championship, at the course. But yeah, renting it, we don't really, we don't wanna get into that right now, unless there's a consensus from the board.
No, I was just asking.
Any other new business? Okay, we're at payment of the bills. April 2024 P cards in the amount of $123,010.22. May 10th, 2024 in the amount of $163,030.
You wanna try that again?
Third time, $163,035.86. And May 17th, 2024 in the amount of $305,513.18. I need a motion in a second.
So,
Second.
Any question on any of the bills? Can I get a roll call, Francis, please?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes?
Commissioner Bianchi?
yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
President Wallace?
Yes. Okay, I need a motion, a second, to adjourn for this meeting, to move into a closed session for the purpose of discussing litigation per 2C11.
So moved.
Second.
In the conference room, 5 minutes.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
President Wallace?
Yes, all right, so can we take the commissioners and Tom will meet in there like 5, 7, 8 minutes or so? Sure. Okay, thank you.
Davey knows a thing or two about getting results. So do we. Elk Grove Village can help your business get big. Fox Run Golf Links, a year-round facility featuring great food and fun. Our newly remodeled clubhouse features 22 large-screen TVs, plus daily food and drink specials. Bring your friends and play around on one of our full-swing golf simulators featuring over 85 courses. With all this, Fox Run is also the perfect place to host your next meeting or special event. Visit us today at foxrungolflinks.com for more information on indoor leagues and special events.
In these uncertain times, America needs a man whose very presence will instill confidence and commitment into this precious land. A brave man who will bring innovation and clarity to the American landscape. That man is... hello! Ralph the Robot. Fridays at 9, only on Channel 6.
Elk Grove Village is home to the largest industrial park in the United States. It's a community of makers, companies that invent, design, manufacture. When your neighbors are makers, the supply chain gets shorter. profits grow. It's why businesses thrive here. Elk Grove Village. Makers want it.